What's going on? And welcome to the live stream. Of course, this is going to be your next day thoughts. Welcome to the stream. Of course, I'm going to go through what happened, of course, yesterday between Leeds United and Liverpool in that unbelievable game that ended 3-3. In a performance where we weren't great, but a point's a point, and that's all we need. Points are the most important thing. We weren't great. The first half was probably all Liverpool, where they were the way better team, but were able to hold on. Second half started pretty poor, to be honest, and we should have done probably better to start the second half. Giving away that cheap goal at the start with Rodon, and then conceding again 2 minutes later. A horrible start to the second half, but we managed to bring it back, of course, later on in the second half after we made some subs, which we'll get into and talk about Daniel Farke's decisions and how they did change the game. And then, of course, Ayo Tanaka right at the end after they took the lead again with 10 minutes to go. 96th minute, Leeds United, bang. And yeah, what a game that was. What a game of football where, the first half being nil-nil, you're like, maybe we hang on to a nil-nil. It's going to be a very close game at the end. Not high scoring to, oh my God, it's 3-3. And yeah, no one expected that probably in the second half. No one probably expected us to go from nil-nil at halftime. Oh, the end of the game, it's 3-3. Great game of football where we're just back and forth for both teams in the second half. The first half was just Liverpool, basically. Like, if you look at the momentum. Liverpool is just all in the first half. Like, it's legit like 90% of the first half is just Liverpool. Where the second half we kind of did get, possession and chances more in the second half. I think it came up on the screen. We had more possession in the second half. I can't remember. Maybe I don't even know if that was the whole second half, but at one point it came up saying we had more possession. I think we had like 56 possession compared to the first half, where when it popped up we had like 29% possession. So it changed a lot from the first half to the second half, with Leeds United getting the ball and actually, doing something and trying stuff. I mean, we were pretty like passive on the ball in the first half and the second half until the substitutions were made. I mean, people have a go at players like Grueb, but that's what you expect from him. He's a defensive-minded player, so you're not expecting him to go flying forward in games, stuff like that, and you expect him to be a defensive player. And yeah, I feel like we did maybe mess up a bit with that lineup. If Tanaka wasn't able to start, right? If Tanaka, because I look at Stack, right, and I look at Stack and Groove as your two eights, in front of course Ethan Ampadu, and I just feel like they don't work as a two, because I feel like they both a bit defensive minded. I know Stacks is attacking minded, but he's not like a Tanaka where he'll press the back line and he'll press the goalkeeper. He's not like an Aronson who will do the exact same thing. So maybe there was a thing of like, if you're gonna start Stack, you have to start one of Aronson or Tanaka. And it feels like going into that game, it almost feels like Tanaka, with how much football he played, he couldn't really start. So maybe better idea would have been to start would have been to start Aronson as the other eight. But hey, maybe if for people that say, "Oh my God, why did Tanaka not start?" Maybe if he does start, we don't get that unbelievable comeback. Maybe we don't get the goals. Maybe we don't get what we did get off the bench and the energy we did get off the bench if Tanaka starts. So, or an Aronson starts. Maybe we don't get that, and we don't get that moment. We don't get the comeback. So you can say like, "Oh yeah, he should have started," but against tired legs, bringing a player on like Tanaka who's going to press them, a player like Aronson who's going to press them and cause them trouble and turn the game around like they did, starting them or starting one of them, you might not have got that. You might not have got that impact that we did get from them off the bench. But yeah, good performance with the substitutions. Farke got his tactics completely right. Changing formation as well. I feel like he did change formation a couple of times as well. It felt like he did, because it felt like, so we of course started in the 3-5-2 or the 5-3-2, however you want to say it. It felt like when Aronson, Nonto, and Tanaka came on, it felt like it went to a 4-3-3 at the start, because if Aronson went on to the right. Then Aronson kind of moved over to the number 10 role a bit later on. A bit later on, or, because then he was out to the left, which is where he got the assist for the Stack goal. A good bit of movement, and then the pass to Stack. And then it kind of feels like he was back on the right again. Apparently, when we did concede the third goal, why Farke was mad, which I've heard, what I've heard is Farke was mad because we were in a back four when he wanted us to play a back three. So he wanted to play a 3-4-3, but the team were set up in a 4-3-3. And then we as I said, once we scored that goal from the Aronson assist Stack, it kind of felt like we went to a 4-2-3-1. So we actually kind of used a bunch of formations in the game. That's what it felt like, because it did feel like a weird how, Aronson comes on the pitch, he's on the right. I feel like he didn't really do a lot when he first came on for the first 3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. And then he kind of drifted over into like the number 10 role, basically, where then he got on the ball and then he was doing stuff and then he was impacting the game. And of course, that's where he gets the assists and stuff. And I feel like that's where we got the impact when he moved over to like the 10 role. And this is what I've said about Daniel Farke and what I wanted to see from him. I wanted to see him be able to change the formation during games when it's not working. And I spoke before the game about the 3-5-2, the 5-3-2 not working in this game. We're going to be hitting it long to trying to find DCL when he's up against Van Dijk, which Van Dijk will win most battles in the air against him. And that's just exactly really what happened in this game. And he wasn't able to actually win it in the air a lot. And it was basically just hitting it long. Van Dijk would header it out. Van Dijk would header it out. Van Dijk would header it out. And as I said, that's nothing on DCL. That's just because Van Dijk is one of the best defenders. Like, I didn't expect him to win the battle against Van Dijk. Like, that's something I didn't expect in this game. There was that bit of me that's like, halfway through the game, Van Dijk was all over him. I'm like, switch sides maybe and try and just put VVD. I'm sorry, try and move Okafor to the other side and Okafor be on Van Dijk and like basically get Van Dijk on Okafor so DCL can be on Kanate, because it felt like Okafor was out of the game. Like most of it was like I felt like he wasn't even there. Mecha was a massive miss, by the way. That's a massive. Mecha was a massive in this game against Liverpool. Because as much as I do like Okafor, right? I do like Okafor, but it feels like maybe he's not suited to be a starter in the centre forward, whatever you want to say, the second striker position. Not like a Mecha is, especially like in the air and battling when we hit it long. Feels like that we did miss that presence of a Mecha who is good in the air, dangerous, can hold the ball up and stuff. And I think we did miss that, having two players up top that can do that job, because really Liverpool were just worried about DCL in the air. Like they weren't worried about Mecha at all. Where if you have sorry Okafor, sorry they weren't worried about Okafor. Where if you had Mecha, I just woke up. Sorry. Where if you had Mecha and he wasn't injured, of course. There's nothing we could have done because he was injured. But we had Mecha. You're scared of both of them. You're worried about both of them in the air because they both can be deadly in the air. Where this game with Okafor, you only have to worry about DCL in the air. So there is that bit of me that's like, we did miss him a lot, Mecha. But like the way Farke switched up in the second half, as I said, that's what I wanted to see from us do more. That's what I wanted to see Farke. You'd have to play the 3-5-2 90 minutes every single game. When it's not working, switch up to a 4-3-3. The 3-4-3 now apparently we used, or the 4-2-3-1. I want to see him switch up formations, which that's so he did when Aronson, Tanaka, and Nonto came on, who were all impacts. Nonto wins the penalty, gets the penalty. Which I mean, the penalty. You keep watching it. Kanate is so stupid. He could have just like let him walk. Like Nonto was walking the ball out of play. Nonto was walking the ball out of play. He didn't have to do anything, and he slides in like it's stupid. He just slides in and gives away a penalty. There was no pressure. There was nothing going to happen. We weren't scoring from that attack at all. It was going to go out for a goal kick, and then Kanate puts Liverpool under so much pressure because we get the penalty, 2-1, Ellen Road erupts, and you get the atmosphere of like, oh, we can do this now. We've scored one goal and we're only one goal behind. So yeah, and then you got, of course, the Aronson assist to Stack, good pass, and Stack does very well to just run sideways, does well, gets to where about Kanate is, and just hits it near post and good finish. Then that puts us back at 2-2, and of course they do score the goal after that, and then of course the corner at the end, they get whipped in, flicked onto the back post, and then Tanaka, the other side, wins the game, draws the game, sorry, for Leeds United. So yeah, let's go and see what Daniel Farke had to say after the game. So Daniel Farke, after the game, came out and said, crazy, another magical night at Ellen Road, ground rocking like no other ground in the world. When this place is on it, it's second to none, which is true. Tight game first half, which was true, even though it was all Liverpool, it was still 0-0, it's still a tight game. It was still one of those things about, it feels like we are dangerous on counterattacks. It feels like we're still very dangerous on counterattacks. Like this wasn't like the Chelsea game. Like the Chelsea game, we had like no possession, but it felt like we had more possession than what we actually did. Where this game, you could tell, like this game, you could legit tell watching it that we were like, they were all over us. You could tell we had less possession. You could tell we were getting battered, and you could when it came up with the possession stat of us having like a 29% or whatever it was, I was like, yeah, that's fair. I could see why. Where in the Chelsea game where I saw the start of the possession, I was like, oh, I thought we had the ball more because it felt like that because we were so dangerous. But this game wasn't. We weren't as dangerous, but we were still like on the counter attack. You're like, oh, we could get something here. You know, even like as I said, Okafor wasn't really in the game. He kind of went missing for most of the game. But when we're on the counter and you see Okafor, you're like, oh, especially early on, he gets that chance and unluckily hits it wide. You know, very early on. Could tell we were tied second half. Mistakes for their goals. I mean, yeah, I mean their first goal, Rodon. I don't know what he's doing. He just passes it straight to Ekatike basically and gives him a free goal. I feel like the second goal is more the players are worried that we've given away a penalty. They've panicked a little bit, and then we've got the ball back. And instead of just hitting it long and getting it out of there, we're trying to play it around the back again. And then we lose the ball, and then the ball gets whipped in, and Ekatike taps it in. So it is one of those things. I mean, the third goal as well, it comes from the position of Daniel Farke angry because he wanted us to be in a three back still, but the team were in a four back, and it was just one pass through the middle. It was one pass through the middle. McAllister just leaves it, and then they put it in the back of the net. I mean, it was really good from McAllister, by the way he left the ball though. Like he just leaves it like easy, and then Slobosly, he's not gonna miss from there, and it was 3-2, and then of course, you know, they're the goals that we conceded. I feel like Brendan off the bench is much better, especially if we are losing or drawing. He just causes chaos and really goes for it, which is what we need. Yeah, that's what I mean, I've always said that about it. I like Aronson, but when he does start, I'm gonna back him because where's the lead show? So when he steps on the pitch, I'm gonna back him. But I've always thought he's a good substitute option. He's a good bench option because of the energy they can bring. Like he's a player that's gonna press them into the ground. He's a chaos merchant. I like the guy, but he's a chaos merchant. You bring him on for the last 20 when you need something to change, you know. I do like Gruev as well, but you're not getting what Gruev does is the defensive cleanup work. But what we needed in that game when we're 2-0 down is someone who's going to press the life out of the defenders, press the life out of the keeper. And that's what Aronson does. I apparently what I've heard, I don't know how true it is, that when Aronson's name got read out when he was coming off the bench, there was silence and some boos, which is like that's crazy to me. Like in the ground, like we're 2-0 down and you're gonna boo the substitute coming on. I mean, we're 2-0 down. He couldn't do any worse. I mean, it couldn't go any worse. We're already 2-0 down. You might as well support the players that's coming on. And then he got the assist, so that might have shut some people up. But I think that's ridiculous. I think you should support the players when they step on the pitch, no matter who it is. Even back when it was Helder Costa, Tyler Roberts. Support the players when they come on the pitch. But yeah. How do you think Ams has been performing? I think Amadou's been good this season. I think he's actually had a good season. There is that thing about I think he's better. There is that thing about what he does when he like drifts, kind of. He like when the opposition are coming into the box and you watch him, he kind of drifts away and causes them sometimes a bit space. But I feel like he's been better once we've gone back to the three back. Once we've gone to the three back, sorry, he's been way better. I think he's been better as well with his positioning when we've gone to the three back. I think Ampadu's just he's kind of a player this season for me that's just gone about his job. Like he's not like being like, wow, Ampadu's been amazing, but he's been like solid. I mean, that's what I'd say for a lot of the players. Really, they've just been solid this season. I've liked Ampadu this season. He's had some very good performances. He's had some performances where you go, oh, he should be doing better. But I think he's had a decent season. Of course, we have a long way to go, so he could turn that into an amazing season, you know, in the second half or next in the new year and stuff. But no, I think he's been good this season. There is some times where he like you watch him and he kind of drifts away sometimes, and of course there'd be space in the box, but that's like the only thing that I've seen him do where I'm a bit like, ugh. Yeah. Daniel Farkland went on to say, I have not watched it back yet, but if VAR looks at it and the referee looks again, they're talking about the penalty and decides that it's a penalty. It shows how it should be handled. Um, if he reviews it the proper way and is given, it shows definitely a penalty. I mean, it is a penalty. As I said, it's a penalty, but it shouldn't be a penalty because Karate shouldn't be that stupid. I mean, Kanate shouldn't be that stupid with what he does to cause that to happen. Like it's not even like the ball's going out, by the way. Like, but the ball is still in play. Like the ball is still in play when Kanate wipes out Nonto. I thought Nonto dived because in my watch line I was like, oh, he's dived, because I'm used to him diving all the time. So I'm like, oh, he's dived, doing the Premier League. Yeah, great idea with all the cameras. But no, he's been taken out. You could say it's soft, but you can't do that. You can't go flying in you recklessly like that. It's stupid from Kanate. I don't even know what he was thinking. But yeah, it is a penalty. So yeah, but Farke basically talking about the penalty. Oh, he hasn't seen it. Um, and yeah, it was one of those moments where it was a brain explosion from. It was a brain explosion from Kanate. Because to be honest, watching it when it was happening, I'm like, oh come on, put it in the box, and then he just takes a touch wide. I'm like, oh you idiot, and then it's a penalty. But yeah, as I said, it shouldn't have been. In the low, if I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm angry at Kanate. I've seen some Liverpool fans on Twitter saying it's not a penalty, it's soft. I'm like, you've taken him out. You've taken him out. It doesn't matter how the penalties happen. He's taken him out. Um, there's this on Daniel. Now Daniel Farke reacted furiously, of course, to the where was this? Because the third goal happened, right? I mean, the third goal happened. They go to Farke on the sideline. He's angry. He's furious. That's like the most furious I've ever seen Farke after we've conceded a goal. To be honest, the third goal, you can see how furious he is. I mean, it's so easy as well. Like it is one of those easy goals. With what happens, it's legit just like one pass through the middle. It's legit. Yeah, it's frustrating because realistically, you look at the goals we conceded, and we probably could have won this game. You look at the goals we conceded; it was the first one should never have happened. Like you look and you're like, oh god. You look and you say, yeah, that should never have happened. The second one, you're a bit like, okay, we've lost the ball. It's a good ball into the box. Maybe Perry should do better. And then the third one, again, it just feels like they've just cut us open so easily. So defensively, there's still a bit of worries. We've got to be realistic and know what's happening. Can't just like get blindsided by us making the comeback and getting a point. It's still defensively there's a bit of worries for me defensively still. But yeah, it's one of those things about hopefully we can improve ourselves defensively, which we have in the three back. Like we've looked better defensively in the three back, but it just felt like we were just a third goal. I mean, there is moments where we switch off, and that's the thing about us where we are in the league right now, and this is proven where we should be, because there's moments in the games where we just switch off. We completely just switch off in games. And it's those little moments, in the Premier League where you switch off for 1 second, and then oh my god, you can see it. Even if you're all over a team for like 30, 35 minutes, it just takes you to switch off for one moment, and all of a sudden you could be behind, or they could score and get back in the game and whatever. So LUFC data actually tweeted out a few things. Ao Tanaka's 96th minute equaliser is the latest goal Leeds United have ever scored against Liverpool in a standard 90-minute match in our history. What else was there? Ao Tanaka 96-minute equaliser is also the latest goal Leeds United have ever scored against the reigning Premier League champions. So there are a few stats. Leeds United recovered from a 2-goal deficit to avoid a Premier League defeat for the first time since a 4-3 win over Bournemouth in November 2022. So that's the first ever time we've come back from 2 goals down since that famous win against Bournemouth, the one after the Liverpool one, which saved Marsh's job. The thing is, people talking about, oh, is this Fox Liverpool Bournemouth? You can't compare them. You legit can't compare them, because the difference is Fox having the performances. Marsh was lucky. Let's be real. Marsh was lucky. Like that Liverpool game, we should have got battered like 5-0. And then the Bournemouth game, you look at the way we were losing. We were 3-1 down. We should have lost that game. Like where Daniel Fox used tactics to actually turn the game around against Liverpool. And then, of course, the game before this, against Chelsea, it was just a very, very good performance where we've deserved the 3 points. Those 2 wins under Marsh, we didn't really deserve the 3 points. Another one on Ao Tanaka. Ao Tanaka's 96th-minute winner is the latest equaliser Leeds have ever scored in Premier League history, which, of course, that's obvious. 27% of Leeds Premier League points this season have been won in the past 72 hours, with 4 out of 15 playing against the current world champions and the champions of England. Praise for DCL as well, who's netted in 3 out of the last 3 games. DCL has scored in 3 consecutive Premier League appearances for the first time since August 2021. It's been a while since he's done that. He's done it against Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. So it's not a bad way to, finally do that again against those three teams. Like, he's put the ball in the back of the net. You can only be good, you can only be, good. He's in the right positions, against, as I said, against Man City, in the right position, get that pass back. Against Chelsea, in the right position to tap it in after Okafor beats, gets there first against the pass keeper. And then the penalty against Liverpool. It's a good penalty, but it does make me feel like watching that penalty is like watching that penalty back. I'm like, should Allison save it? Because it's not in the corner. Like, it's not in the corner, and for me, I'm like, oh my god, he probably could have saved it. And a goalkeeper like Allison, for how good he is, you expect him probably to do a bit better from that, in my opinion. And yeah, what a performance. Leeds United were awarded a penalty against Liverpool for the first time since November 1972. Oh my god. Johnny Giles missed it that day. So Dominic Calvert-Lewin's successful penalty was our first penalty goal against them in 56 years, stretching back to November 1969. That's a long, long time ago. But yeah, I'm happy with the performance. I'm happy with the players performing. I'm happy with how the players played. I think showing that we have the ability to turn games around in these situations, The last three games, I mean, Man City, unlucky to not get a point, losing it right at the end. And then these last two games, beating Chelsea 3-1 and then coming back against Liverpool, shows for me that we can stay up. Like, I'm not fully, right now, I'm not fully on the thing saying we're 100% staying up now, because we're not. Like, we're not guaranteed to stay up yet. But I do think we have a massive chance of staying up if we continue this. We got to see how we play in the next couple of games. I think we got Brentford, we've got Palace, we got Sunderland soon as well. We got these games coming up where we're gonna need to, they're the games where we're gonna need points. Not in all of them, because I don't expect us to beat every one of those teams. Like, Palace is a very difficult game. Brentford, I'm looking at as a very good game we can win. And if we beat Brentford, I'm pretty sure we're 1 point behind them. I need to go check that. I think I saw something about that. Because we got Brentford next week. If we manage to beat them, yeah, next week, where are we? If we manage to beat them next week, we'll be 1 point behind Brentford. So we're kind of pushing up the table. We kind of build a gap as well. West Ham are on 12 points in 18th. We're tying on points with Nottingham Forest now on 15 points. We built a 3 point gap on the relegation zone, so we built like one win between us and the relegation zone, which from where we were, sorry, good. Like, it's good that we've turned it around in this situation. Yeah, good that we've actually been able to turn this around in the way the way that we did. Yeah, good performance from everyone basically to turn that around. I mean, what a game of football! I mean, the second half, what a half of football we could say. So yeah, it's a big chance next week for us. You look at that and there's even a bigger chance next week for us to push 1 point behind Brentford. Like, it's gonna give us a massive chance to actually be able to, get around mid table. And I'm hoping that we can continue pushing up the table and hopefully build a gap between us and the relegation zone where we won't have to worry coming the end of the season. But I do still feel like we'll be near the relegation zone at the end of the season. But I have this feeling but I do have this little feeling of, like, if we can continue the way we are playing, we could have a gap and we could be just safe mid-table and have a great season where we don't have to worry about relegation. Um, and hopefully we continue these performances in the next couple of games. Hopefully this isn't just, oh, we turn up against the big boys and we turn up against the Brentford, we turn up against the Palace, we turn up, against the Sunderland, you know, we turn up against the big six, but I like to see do the same thing, turn up against these other teams. As I said, the Brentfords and that. We need to turn up against other teams as well, and hopefully we're able to do that in the next coming games. We'll see how we play next week, of course, against Brentford. I wonder if we're going to actually either, like, what are we going to do? Are we going against Brentford? Are we going to revert to a 4-3-3? Is it going to be a 3-5-2? Because the 3-5-2 didn't work against Liverpool, but against Brentford, I think it will work. Like, it's one of those where against Liverpool it was tough, but even if we go to a 4-4-3, I'm not going to be angry, as I said, because it's about adapting in formation depending on how the performance is going, which is what Farke did against Liverpool. Not working, change formation, bring on Tanaka, Nonto, Aronson, and then play with wingers. And that's what we did, and I like that. I like that we turned it around like that, and it was a good performance. It was a good thing to do. It was what I wanted to see from Daniel Farke, and it's always what especially in the last couple of last season, I think it was when we got to the Premier League. I've been saying, oh, we need to kind of play a bit more, we need to be a bit more flexible with formation and stuff, and Farke needs to learn, which he has. Credit to him, he has learned. Let's go and talk about the performances. I mean, I think we should talk about the three substitutes. I do want to talk about just the three substitutes. We'll start off with the hero at the end, Ao Tanaka. Ao Tanaka managed to score the winning goal at the end with an expected goal of 0.2. He had 13, 13, 13 accurate passes out of 15, 87%. Passes in opposition half, he had 11 out of 12, 92%, and position passes in opposition in own half, in own half was 2 out of 3, 67%. Two shots with his expected goals on target of 0.82. Shots on target 2. He had 20 touches, lost the ball 2 times, 1 tackle. He didn't win it though. He had 1 clearance, 1 recovery, 1 ground duel, which he won it, 2 aerial duels, which he won both. And yeah, he was very good off the bench. Does it even say how many minutes he played? Doesn't even say. Minutes. Where's minutes played? It doesn't even tell you the minutes played. Well, what would it have been? About 30 some. They would have been playing for what? 65, 75, 85, 95. 30 minutes-ish. Maybe just a bit under 30 minutes to substitute. So yeah, next up was Willie Nonto, who of course won the penalty for the first goal. 17 touches, 1 unsuccessful touch, 1 dribble which wasn't successful. He was fouled twice, which was a penalty and like a free kick there was as well. Penalties 1-1, possession lost 4, crosses 2, which none of them were accurate. Accurate passes 9 out of 9, 100%. Passes in opposition half 7 out of 7, 100%, and then passes in own half was 2 out of 2. He won 2 out of his 3 ground duels as well, so that was his performance. Came on, made an impact just like the other two, and it was good to see, the substitutions. When you talk about Farke and how, remember in the championship, and all you would hear is Farke doesn't know how to make his subs, even though he had the most goals scored by substitutes. And again, we're proving that our substitutes are proven to be impacts. What we need off the bench. You need impact off the bench. I'm looking at this team and you've got players like Tanaka, Aronson, Nonto who can come off the bench, even a Pirro. Look at a Bornell who's starting to get minutes in his legs, which the thing is, bringing on Bornell, Farke, I know what Farke's doing. He needs minutes in his legs because if one of the centre backs are injured, Bornell's going to have to come in. So giving him minutes, even if it is 3, 4, 5 minutes here and there, just to, being able to get him match ready, basically, so he doesn't get, no minutes, not on the bench, and then just chucked into the game, when there is an injury, which, you need that kind of stuff. We'll then go on to who I thought was man of the match, Brendan Aronson, off the bench. I thought he was my man of the match. He was brilliant. And as I said, he did what you want to see him do. He did what he's good at. Causing chaos, being that player that's going to be an absolute pest on the pitch when he comes on. He's absolutely brilliant at doing that. And yeah, he had he had 1 assist, of course, with an XA of 0.02. He had 8 out of 11 successful passes in 73%, 5 out of 7 in the opposition half, which was 1%, 3 out of 4 in his own half, which was 75%. He had 1 shot, which was the shot where he scuffed it and along the ground, where he tried to bend it around in the top corner, but it went nowhere and just went he absolutely messed up that shot. But yeah, he had a go. He tried something. He had 18 touches, 1 unsuccessful touch, 1 dribble which wasn't successful. He was fouled once, lost the ball 6 times. Won 1 out of his 5 ground duels, 1 out of 2 of his aerial duels. I mean, that aerial duel was brilliant. He was hovering in the air. It was brilliant. He smashed it across goal almost to DCL. But if he got an assist for that, oh my god! If that went across on DCL, flicked his head onto it and went back in the net, that would have been amazing. Great header in the air. But yeah, I thought performance-wise, just the substitutes. It's about having those impacts off the bench. Even the players that didn't come on. You look at the players that didn't come on the pitch. James Justin, come on and make an impact. You look at the players that of course are out. Lucas Mecha, when he comes back, in my opinion, Okafor will be probably back on the bench. So Okafor, another impact that you can have off the bench. You look at when Longstaff comes back, and you're gonna have what? You're gonna have Gruev off the bench, who can be brought on in games where we need to hold out a lead. Say we're winning 1-0 or 2-1 in a very close game. You bring on a Gruev who's gonna be that defensive player that you do need in those situations. When we start with a midfield 3, you might have a Stack on the bench, or a Longstaff, or a Tanaka. It's about rotating the squad, and we got the squad to rotate. We got the quality in this squad is good to rotate in this formation. In my opinion, we still needed some additions in January. As I said, another backup centre back. even if it's a cheap centre back, I think that's something we do need, a cheap centre back. Maybe another striker if we want to go for it. You look at the midfield now and you look at Stack, Ampadu, Gruev, Tanaka, Longstaff, and you say those five. Do we add another one to that and maybe bring in like a number 10 who would be like playing in that centre mid role, yes. Not as a number 10, but in the centre mid role, but be like creative player, a creative player in that role. Maybe we do that. There's a possibility we do that. You look at the bench today and you look at like players that I do trust. You got like Barham and James Justin as the fullbacks. Do you bring in another fullback? It's one of those things about I want to see what we do in January because there's a couple of things. The main one for me right now is I don't like. I feel like it's another midfielder who's more of a creative midfielder. So like a number 10 he's gonna play the eight role, but he's more of a number 10. So he's more of that creative player. I do think we need another centre back. I think that's a major thing as well. That people will look past as like backups and stuff, but no, we do need another backup centre back because if one of them gets injured and then you're looking at like, oh, if Ball now gets injured, we are in trouble because we don't have another centre back and we're gonna have to go. Then we'll have to play a two back for a bunch of games if they're both out for a long time. So it's one of those things where we do need that cover at centre back. As I said, even if it's a very cheap centre back, doesn't really matter. We just need that backup, that guy that can come off the bench, that guy who, if there's injuries, will slot right in, which is something that we do need. But yeah, overall happy with the performance, especially in the second half. The first half I wasn't really happy with it, but the second half I was. For at least the final 25 minutes, though, once we made the sub, as soon as we made the sub, the performance just switched. It just switched like that, which, again, you got to give Farke credit. So, yeah, I want to give Farke a lot of credit for that. I want to give the substitutes a lot of credit for that in Aarons and Tanaka and Nonto, who came on the pitch and changed the game, basically. Yeah, happy with the performance. Happy with the point, especially. Happy with the point, especially. And hopefully we can continue pushing. Hopefully next week we win, and then we're 1 point behind Brentford, and we're kind of like building this gap between us and the relegation zone. So hopefully we can do that. If you like the stream, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Even if you're watching it later, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll catch you all in the next.